Thank you for making time. The Harambee Stars breathed some life into Kenyan football, which has experienced more downs than ups recently. Now, the result is welcome indeed to a nation currently facing economic hard times with fuel prices at an all-time high. Now, deep in the Rift Valley, violence appears to have taken center stage, and on a weekend edition tonight, I will be joined by Trevor Mbija, who is on the road in Nakuru County, and Brian Otwal, who covered that historic win for the Harambee Stars at the Kasarani Stadium, as well as Warothe Kwiru, who will be joining us later on, and he is at the Kenyatta International Convention Center for a boxing bout featuring Kenya's own Fatma Zarika. Clearly, a lot more lined up for you, including tonight, football takes center stage.
Again to Olunga, they put it in their own net.
Harambee Stars beat Black Stars of Ghana 1-0, reviving a nation's hope over 2019 Africa Cup of Nations appearance. Plus,
this thing just not go unresolved.
Tents arrested, 300 boots on the ground, but tension remains high in Koben as authorities push for peace. Also tonight, a family in Umoja Estate, Nairobi, is mourning.
Nikapata ndugu yangu amekaa kama nguo kwa chuma, ana bleed. Nikamwambia alipata Suzuki kama akuinje, yeye ana chat tu.
3 suspects, including man's wife, in custody after domestic quarrel turns fatal. And in our special,
inasaidia vizuri sana kwa watoto, haswa wale ambao wanaanza kukua.
Daniel Muller speaks to parents on raising children in the digital age.
NTV Weekend Edition with Gladys Gachanja.
Thank you for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Ateno. First things first, the Harambee Stars, playing with 10 men for half an hour, put out a gritty performance to stand 4-time African champions Ghana 1-0 at the Kasarani Stadium. Black Stars defender Nicholas Opuku put the ball into his own net in the 41st minute after pressure by Michael Olunga following an Eric Johanna cross. Now, Joash Onyango was shown a straight red card on the hour mark, but Sebastian Minye's charges hang on for the famous win. Now, the win, which was seen as mission impossible ahead of kickoff by many pundits, sees Kenya revive her hopes of qualifying to next year's African Cup of Nations in Cameroon.
For Michael Olunga. Yes, he's got the right to take credit for it there, Jacob, doesn't he?
Well, Johanna picking Michael putting pressure on the defender, and really, when you look at it, Michael...
Congratulations to the Stars. Brian Otwal will be giving us more details from that match. Now, the government has maintained that the ongoing clashes in Narok will not get its plans to reclaim the Mau forest from settlers off course. The Narok County Commissioner George Natembeya cautioned politicians against using their evictions to fund the violence in the area. Natembeya spoke as the clashes entered the third day.
For the third day, the fires in the Mau forest are still raging. Where they are not, homesteads are deserted. People have fled after days of fighting and cases of arson that have pitted 2 communities against each other. According to the government, the clashes have been funded by politicians due to the ongoing Mau forest evictions.
And right from the beginning, we're saying, when it comes to the Mau place, let us leave politics out of these things. We are being told that some fellows who are still hanging around there, and the ones who are active participants in this thing, we're also going to check.
Initially, the skirmishes were alleged to have been caused by a cattle rustling incident, resulting in the killing of a herdsman at the Nkoben area. The government wants the suspects to stop immediately. About 300 security officers have been deployed in the area in a bid to ensure peace, with more than 20 suspects arrested.
Sisi tutakuwa karibu sana. Wakati kuna jambo kama hili, piga ripoti mara moja, sisi tunafuata.
Officers drawn from the multi-government agencies have evicted 9,000 people from their former farms around Mau Forest as the government seeks to restore the regional water tower. Another 40,000 are said to be evicted by the government in phase 2 of the exercise, which has elicited sharp reactions from local leaders and the victims. The Narok County Commissioner says the government will not backtrack on its intention to reclaim the water catchment area that is the Mau Forest.
Because if we stop it, it means tumekubali kwamba hatutaki Masai Mara, tumekubali kwamba watu ambao wanakaa downstream wanahitaji maji. Tutakuwa tumekubali kwamba in future people come and fight here. In fact, what we've seen here is just a joke. When now the proper consequences of the destruction of this forest happens, these people, this place where we are standing now will be now the theater of proper war, because people come here to check. Mali maji ilikuwa inatoka, what happened there. We'll be here now to make those explanations. We are trying to prevent a catastrophe.
He at the same time warned residents of the affected areas against congregating in groups in a bid to discourage the escalation of tensions in the area. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Now, detectives investigating the gruesome murder of Sharon Otieno today visited the crime scene where Nation journalist Barack Odur claims to have jumped from a moving vehicle to escape his abductors. The journalist claims to have escaped from the speeding car moments after he noticed imminent threat against his life. Now, the now deceased 7-month pregnant Sharon Otieno was left alone in the hands of the abductors and a day later was found lying dead in Homa Bay's Kodera forest. Odur, who narrated his ordeal to the Nation, is said to have sought refuge in a nearby homestead a few meters from where he jumped. A special team of detectives dispatched from the DCI in Nairobi are now keen on finding out the sequence of events during, before and after the alleged escape. To something that has been top of mind, you will continue paying more for your petrol, diesel and kerosene even after the High Court suspended the implementation of a 16% VAT on fuel. The Energy Regulatory Commission, the body responsible for revising fuel prices, claims that it is yet to be served with the court orders. The lobby group that challenged the new taxes vowed to file contempt of court charges against ERC on Monday.
Speaking to NTV on phone, Energy Regulatory Commission Director General Pavelo Imeke said that the commission will only act once it is served with the orders officially. This means the new prices will remain in force. Lawyer Kenneth Amondi, who represented the group that filed the petition at the High Court in Bungoma, said that the inaction by the ERC is against the orders issued on Thursday.
A matter of fact, the ERC Director General has been quoted stating that as a commission they have received scanned copies of the order, but they are still awaiting the original order before he can act.
The advocates told NTV that contrary to the position held by the ERC, the orders ought to have been implemented.
The ERC director has acknowledged that they have received copies, be they even scanned copies of the order in itself implies that he ought to have acted.
The next course of action, he says, will be a date with the courts on Monday.
The much you can do is to file contempt proceedings, which we are working on, and we shall file the same on Monday against the ERC director.
The High Court sitting in Bungoma suspended the implementation of the new taxes by about 1 week, breathing a sigh of relief to Kenyans who had opposed the new prices on fuel. Justice Stephen Riechi explained that the suspension would stay in force to allow the High Court sitting in Kisumu time to hear the petition filed by the three activists. The three had argued that the implementation of the new taxes were against core constitutional rights and which would burden the taxpayer more. Silas Apollo, NTV.
Still on the same, Orange Democratic Movement leader Raila Odinga has urged the government to deal with debt and budget deficiencies it's currently facing. Now, he says the matter should be treated with urgency to ease the cost of living, especially with the newly effected 16% VAT on fuel.
This conversation must be created and it must be concluded as quickly as possible. And I'm sure that is going to be a solution to this problem. There must be a solution because Kenya must move on. We must be able to meet our development needs. And my view is that we need to slay this animal called corruption. If corruption can be controlled, the government can raise the additional funds that they require for development without having to increase taxes to our people.
Now, Kenyans have expressed their disappointment in what they term as a government's disregard of a court order which sought to stop the implementation of a 16% VAT on fuel. According to most of the people interviewed, they feel the government has neglected them.
I just think the people who come up with these prices are not educated. They don't really go in to find out what amount this the oil companies buy the products at. They just assume that oil companies make a lot of money. So once they put such high taxes, it won't affect people.
Ile hali tuko saa hii ni hatari because biashara hakuna, imekufa, inaendelea kukufa, kazi hakuna, watu hawana pesa. Ndio sasa tena hii shida ingine imeongezewa. Sasa unaona hapo kuna mambo ajabu sana.
Ya hiyo ni kuonesha hata hawachukui maanani amri ya sheria ya koti. Na wakifanya hivyo, hata sisi ambao ni wananchi wa Kenya hatutakuwa na imani na executive.
Serikali haisikizi mwananchi wa kawaida. Serikali manake hakuna sababu kamili ya kupandisha bei ya mafuta. Kwa hivyo serikali kinachofanya ni kujivunia tu kutoka kwa mwananchi.
I really do hope that the government is looking into it because if I'm an average person, I can't imagine what's happening to someone who's earning less than I am, because we really have to rearrange our lives to actually accommodate this cost.
Mafuta hata ya shilingi 30 yapiki hata mfuko mdogo kilo moja. Sasa je, tutaishi vipi na wengi hawana kazi?
Kataa kupunguza bei ya mafuta, unajua wanaangalia hali yao vile ilivyo na watu wote wako sawa. Sasa mtu ataweza kuweka fuel na wewe uwezi. Pengine yeye anasafiri na gari yake anaweza, ambaye anaweza. Lakini binadamu kama sisi ambao hatuwezi hata kusafiri, kama unafanya kibarua mbali na nyumbani, utafanyaje?
Hata sisi hapa hatuna pesa kabisa. Ukiambia abiria ni 150 kutoka pande mpaka Mwembe mpaka Chuta, anakataa, anakulipa shilingi 100. Sasa unapata tunafanyia tu hasara barabarani na tuko na watoto na familia.
Tunataka president kwanza akifika apunguze mambo ya mafuta, kwa sababu sisi wa vijana tutaenda wapi? Watoto wetu tutapatia nini?
Tuna serikali ama hatuna serikali? Ni mapandiko za maboti na maandishi tu zimejaa ati tunalindwa haki yetu, ilhali tumesahauliwa kabisa.
Well, two security martyrs and a family in Umoja Estate in Nairobi is demanding justice in what they term as a brutal murder of their son. The family accused their son's wife together with 2 other men for throwing the victim off a balcony after beating him in his house. The suspects are in police custody.
32-year-old Dixon Jared Samba arrived at his house located on the 4th floor of Mugi House in B Center, Umoja Estate, early Thursday. Upon opening the door, he found his wife Susan Adhiambo together with 2 other men. 1.5 hours later on that fateful morning, his lifeless body lay on the metal grills on the ground floor.
Ni kama watu walimuattack kwa mlango because hatukupata damu huko ndani. So hii damu inaonyesha he was attacked kabla hajaingia kwa nyumba. Yes, hata kabla hajaketi chini. Ukiangalia hiyo grill iko ground floor. Imekatika chuma mbili. Hatuwezi sema yeye ndiye alianguka, labda aliangushwa. Yeah, because ukiangalia hiyo impact chuma hizi katika kama mtu ameanguka, angegonga hizi grills akianguka. Ni kama alirushwa tu from a certain point.
The impact of the drastic fall awakened the neighbors. According to neighbors, his wife of 13 years, Susan Adhiambo, was unperturbed by the incident.
Hapa nikapata ndugu yangu amekaa kama nguo kwa chuma, ana bleed. Nikamwambia alipata Suzuki kama akuinje, yeye ana chat tu. Bibi ndugu yangu anapenda ndugu yangu threats mingi sana kwa hiyo simu yake. Sio mara ya kwanza, ameshamdunga hadi kisu. Siku nyingine tukakuja patena usiku.
The victim's father, who is clearly devastated by the incident, only wants justice for his son.
Ni watu wa kupigana kila wakati, lakini anatoka nje anarudi, wanarudia na wanachukua. na nimejaribu kuwasawishi waachane, nimeshindwa.
Ukiangalia cut ni kama shoka kafupi hivi. Lichapa hapa na hapa kwa face.
The 33-year-old suspect, together with the 2 other men, are in custody at Kayole Police Station. Vincent Oduor, NTV.
To another unfortunate incident, a woman who chopped off her boyfriend's private parts in Kinoo, Kiambu County has been arrested in Mombasa. The suspect, Eva Wangare, was arrested in Diani, Kwale County. Detectives from Nairobi who had been trailing her say the 30-year-old was arrested in a hotel where she sought employment. The suspect is said to have drugged her boyfriend before taking him to her house where she allegedly robbed him, and investigators also revealed the 2 men entered the house and poured acid into the man's eyes. The crime is reported to have taken place last month. Her ex-boyfriend is nursing injuries at the Kenyatta National Hospital. A family from Thika Town is seeking justice for what it claims is the loss of its parcel of land in Ruai through double allocation by the Embakasi Ranching Company. Now, Salome Kibe, who was last evening arrested for demolishing a perimeter wall on the said piece of land, was back at the site this afternoon insisting that the land is hers.
Saturday afternoon, the Kibe family is back at this piece of land in Ruai. The family insists that the land legally belongs to them. Salome Kibe says that it was bought by her late husband and she has all the necessary documents. On Friday, the family traveled from Thika and destroyed the temporary fence.
Na hii shamba nimeasiwa ni bwana yangu, ana amekuba na ndio amekata, na mimi wakati nimeasiwa nimekuja hapa, sijui ni miaka gapi hapa. Nakuja hapa namwambia huyu mtu akikata, wakati anakata hii mtaro, ndio nimempigia simu, nimepewa na watu wake simu, nikamwambia wewe unanikalia. Akaniuliza ni nini mama? Nikamwambia hii ni shamba yangu na nikalia. Akasema hapana, mimi nimeuziwa ni Wasiru.
The family claims that a representative from Embakasi Ranching Company, only known to them as Shiro, sold off the parcel of land. She declined to speak to the media. The family was held at the Ruai police station for damaging private property and only secured their freedom in the wee hours of Saturday. The current occupants of the controversial piece of land declined to give a statement. Salome Kibe insists that she has right to this property, which was left to her by her husband, who is now deceased, and she hopes that the relevant authorities will come in to help her and her family. Leila Mohammed, NTV, Nairobi.
Elsewhere, Deputy President William Ruto has challenged African countries to foster inter-country trade. Speaking at the closing ceremony of the 8th edition of the Africa Green Revolution Forum in Rwanda, DP Ruto said agricultural trade would give the continent a competitive edge against other regions. Now, reporter Kennedy Murithi reports from Rwanda.
The 8th edition of the Africa Green Revolution Forum has come to a close here in Kigali, Rwanda, and resolutions have been made. Top among them is the involvement of youth in agricultural activities and making sure that African countries invest more in agriculture.
For argument, you have a population of 10 people, 10 million citizens. You want to negotiate with the EU with 500 million people. That is not a conversation of equals. It doesn't matter how you look at it. And therefore, it becomes very necessary for us to fast track our regional economic blocks and their integration.
If there's been an area where there's unanimity that this is something whose time has come, it is in agriculture.
Deputy President William Ruto says the country is on a recovery path and more money will be invested in agriculture, as he also makes sure that more youth will be involved in decision making with regards to agriculture and agricultural activities.
We intend to increase the daily incomes of farmers from $4 to about $6. we intend to increase our overall income from farming by about $4 billion.
At this forum, Rwanda was named as one of the African countries that has been able to use small-scale farmers, inspiring growth for the country and reducing their poverty levels.
We require a rapid shift in the mindset of our young people towards agriculture as a career choice.
With the theme of this year's forum being Lead, Measure, Grow, African countries and their leaders have been called upon to drive this agenda in making sure that Africa becomes food secure by 2030.
We intend to increase by 20% from 60 million to about 75 million square meters of hide, skin and leather.
Kennedy Mureithi, NTV in Kigali, Rwanda.
Well, as earlier mentioned, NTV is on the road and it is in my home county, which is county number 32, Nakuru County. Now, Trevor Ombija now joins us live, and as you'd mentioned earlier, Nakuru is about to gain city status. I'm excited. I hope the people of the county have been gracious to you, Trevor.
Absolutely, Gladys. People from your home county have been absolutely fantastic. And yes, like you mentioned, in the next 3 months, Nakuru will become a city, and there's a lot of preparations ongoing right now. I interacted with quite a number of them. We spoke to them. We'll be showing you what they had to say later on in the bulletin, as well as I'll be speaking to your governor, Gladys, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, in just a bit. But before we get into all that, let's take a quick short break here from the Arms Hotel in Milimani area. welcome back to the broadcast live from county number 32, that is Nakuru, and we are joined by the Governor, Honorable Nyanjui. But before we get into that, here's what we were talking about earlier on with Gladys Gachanja back in studio. It's our home county, by the way. Nakuru is poised to achieve city status by December. NTV on the road is in the county number 32. Of course, you know that by now, the 4th largest county in the country. Here's a quick status update on the county that was also selected as one of the most tax-friendly counties by the Institute of Economic Affairs. A quick drive around the cosmopolitan town reveals activities synonymous with a developing town. In just 3 months, Nakuru will achieve city status alongside Eldoret town in Uasin Gishu County. If you haven't been to Nakuru County lately, the next time you come visiting, you realize that diversion that used to be at the Area 58, it's no longer there. This is what you have, an overpass and underpass, stretches 157 kilometers to Nairobi and 159 kilometers in the opposite direction to Eldoret. But like any other growing county, challenges are bound.
Maendeleo tunaona kama imekwama kiasi. Na hatujui kwa nini inakwama. Tulikuwa tunahofia bwana Ri vile tuliwavote, tulitarajia mambo mazuri. Na tena kaunti iwe imeendelea.
Ambapo kuna mahali pengine kukinyesha hapa unapata drainage yenyewe maji inakaa kama mashambani kabisa. Kama angeweza kutufanya ni sawa.
Kuna change. Ndio hata kwa mini youth, lakini unaona tena youth kwa vijana, at least kazi iko.
The county is currently in the process of implementing the Urban Enforcement Notice, which is targeting illegal structures on road reserves, including kiosks and garages, some of which have blocked the town's drainage system.
Kama basi ni lazima aondoe vibanda, tungeomba aweze kupea watu wa vibanda nafasi, na anapowashughulikia kuwatoa aweze kuwapea hata kama ni pesa kidogo ya kutafuta nyumba ya kurent, naweza wafidia kama pesa za kuanza kutafuta nyumba, maana saizi hawako wamejipanga.
Hata hivi venye unasikia kukikiliniwa, vibanda vinabomolewa sometimes. Unajua kuna vitu zingine watu wanaambiwa watoe na wameweka already X, lakini watu wanagojeaga. Unajua Wakenya tunagojeaga at the last minute.
The county has a 9-step elaborate plan that includes painting the taxis in a uniform color unique to the county and parked at designated areas. Building owners are required to repaint their premises complete with rainwater gutters for water collection. Building owners are also required to improve pedestrian walkways by paving them for free movement. Landlords are to ensure proper disposal of garbage from their premises as well. All the car washes on roadsides will be required to relocate to designated areas, and property owners are to ensure portions of their land is under tree cover. The deadline expired last Thursday. And the governor for the great people of Nakuru County is gracious enough to host us, and thanks for making time for us, Honorable Nyanjui.
Thank you very much.
Let's start from right there, the Urban Enforcement Notice Plan. I was speaking to some of your people out there in the county, and they're saying that they've not been given enough time and they want to be probably compensated. Is that even an option?
First, may I take this opportunity to welcome NTV to Nakuru and to say that indeed we are honored to have you in Nakuru. On the issue of the Urban Enforcement Plan, I think what we're simply trying to work on is that urban centers in Kenya have over the years been left to really grow on their own without adequate planning, without people working by the laid down regulations. And therefore we thought about 3 months ago that we need to put everything in black and white and give people adequate time to comply. Well, it is true that many may not have complied by the set date, but I think the important thing is that there is a conversation that we need to change how our town looks. And some of the things we had included that we would want to have some of our taxis in Nakuru, for example, have all one color, so that if a visitor comes to Nakuru, they can be able to see some orderliness. If you're talking of pavements within the main CBD, we had also said we would not have it paved, so that there's cabro and there's adequate greening, so that you don't just turn the whole town into a concrete jungle. So I think these are really good things that will make our town look progressive and look friendly. Also walkways.
But the main complaints that got, Governor, was from the people whose kiosks are being moved. They keep saying that they need to be compensated. Is that an option?
Well, on the issue of kiosks, I think it's good to be very candid that we have had a major problem with drainage. If you recall, just 3 months ago, we lost people here. And when you want to make the drainage or to want to make the trenches where the water will go through, you find that people have built on those areas. So again, you cannot complain that you want good drainage and then the same place where you want to do the trenches has already been occupied in way of kiosks and all these other things. So I think we will have to make a difficult choice between having proper drainage, or if we don't have it, then we risk having our town being completely unusable, and destruction of life and property can come when the floods come. And I think it's also good to know, like especially for Nakuru town, we are really on a hill. The gradient is such that if we don't manage our drainage, the waters can come and sweep even buildings in town. So we will try and do what is best in terms of mitigating suffering by the traders, but I think it is also important that they appreciate that the issue of drainage is one that we must address conclusively.
All right, Governor, one of the other things that came up when I was interacting with your people was the issue of title deeds. There's a group there, Nyakinywa women group members, they say they've been waiting for their title deeds for quite a long time now. What's the hold up?
Yeah, thank you. I think first I would want to thank the national government because we did put a request to them early in the year that we have a massive titling program for the entire Nakuru County, and they agreed to that, and Nyakinywa is one of the many land buying companies that will benefit out of that. Our target is about 100,000 titles, and we've already started clinics to educate, because there are a lot of people who bought land, but because of small disputes here and there, they have not been able to go to the level of getting title deeds. So we've actually come up even with a dispute resolution team, so that wherever we require to unravel all these things, we can do it, and we really encourage.
Hold that thought for me 1 second, Governor. I'm coming back to you. Let's cross over back to county number 47, where Nairobi County Speaker Beatrice Elachi insists that her impeachment is corruption fighting back. In fact, she says her impeachment is illegal, and she said that most of the MCAs should have waited for the ones on recess to come back. In the meantime, Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is warning MCAs not to try and threaten him with the same action.
The petition presented during the special sitting at the Nairobi County Assembly on Thursday led to the impeachment of Speaker Beatrice Elachi. According to the motion presented by Waithaka Ward MCA Kiragu Karanja, Elachi has allegedly violated the Integrity Act by threatening, intimidating and harassing officers of the Public Service Board.
She came with that insinuation, maybe she was superior than the MCAs. So those notions and disregarding members' views.
The MCAs are against Elachi's war against corruption, claiming that she was out of order for directly linking them to the alleged corrupt dealings within the county.
We are ready to be investigated by the investigative body, either DCI or EACC, but the issues which members were having is her leadership style.
Elachi moved to court and secured conservatory orders barring the MCAs and the board from interfering with her duties. She says that she will only resign if her political party writes to her to do so.
I don't know who is after me. I don't want to say, because if all of them have signed like 109, it means all of them are after me. If you feel Beatrice Elachi is not doing right the work that Jubilee gave me, then you have a right to just write to me.
Madam Speaker was given an opportunity when the first attempt was made. There was time to build bridges.
The members also took issue with Governor Mike Sonko, accusing him of running the county from his Machakos residence.
Impeachment Elachi in Naishi Assembly. My impeachment will not enter the floor of the county assembly.
Kevin Mutai, NTV.
All right, from county number 47 back to county number 32, Honorable Nyanjui is still with me. Governor, you're finishing your thought on the title deeds issue, but one of the other complaints was the double allocation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I must say that the idea of having a clinic is to be able to unravel those small little things that have been there for too many years. In fact, we have cases that have been in our courts for like 30-40 years, but when you go and listen to these people, and many of them have agreed, let's sit down and agree. The little small things cannot make us not complete the deal. So I think for now the most important thing is to get the people, where there's a dispute, we try and resolve that dispute. Where there's a matter in court, we try and remove that. So I think we're trying to work on that, and I believe that before the end of the year we'll be able to reach our 100,000 target.
All right. What's your strategy for youth unemployment? That's another issue that came up on the streets.
Thank you. I think Nakuru is just like any other urban center in Kenya. We are having the problem of massive youth unemployment. And I think this is a matter as a country we really need to think seriously, because we have very many young, educated, energetic and ready to work people, and yet there's no place to work. And I think this is why the government now has come up with the Big Four, which seeks to create demand through the house. You know, if we're able to implement the 500,000 houses we want to do across the country, then it means we can be able to plug that. But I think at our own county level, what you have done is first to try and encourage the young people to get training. Most of our technical training institutions are underutilized, meaning that we do not have enough students, and therefore those facilities are underutilized. And as a county, we are paying for everybody who wants to enroll at that particular level. Then the other thing is on the issue of training them to be able to participate in both government tenders and also other tenders that may come. Many of them have the willingness to do business, but I think a bit of training is required. And I think for this, we have planned within the month of October to have several clinics where we can train them and coach them and mentor them, so that before long they can also move from one level to the other. And also,
speaking of training, Governor, some of them were telling me that one of the opportunities they have is agriculture.
Yes.
Nakuru right now is one of the biggest exporters of carrot to Uganda and Tanzania.
Yes.
But there's still an issue of middlemen who are
Yes.
reaping where they did not sow.
Absolutely. So I must say, first, when we got into office, the issue of exporting even to Uganda and the other places was mainly through brokers. So I think the first thing we're trying to do now is to get cooperatives, because it is not possible for everybody to probably have the export permits and all that. So we want to get our farmers into cooperatives, so that whether you're in milk or wheat or barley or whatever it is you're doing, you are organized and structured in a way that you can be trained, you can be given facilitation, and also we can be able to do capacity building for you. And that has worked. We have a couple of cooperatives that are currently what you may call best case across the county. And we believe that in the next 2-3 years, we'll mentor them to a level where they can now be able to compete effectively with other commercial enterprises.
And Governor, as we come to a close, what would you want your legacy to be?
I think first it's good to appreciate that Nakuru is largely an agricultural county, and there is no crop that is not grown here in Nakuru except maybe coconut or miraa. Otherwise, everything else you'll find it in Nakuru. So agriculture is our first agenda, because if you want to reach everybody in Nakuru, get your agriculture right, and you'll be able to talk to almost 99% of the people in Nakuru. So we have a very elaborate program on agriculture to help the farmers in whatever they do, and also to introduce crops that have not been there before, mainly like avocado and pyrethrum that had gone down. Then the other area is on the issue of infrastructure. If we want to help our farmers, the roads to their farms must be such that they don't have to pay too much to get their produce to the market. So we're also working on an elaborate program to have our roads motorable and usable across the entire season. And we have a program we're calling Boresha Barabara, where we are trying to do much of the work in-house, because the cost of doing per kilometer and you do it in-house is reasonable, but we'll still have enough also to give the others. Lastly also is on the issue of tourism. Nakuru has very unique features for tourism. And recently we were in Lake Nakuru, and to be honest, we do not have better places when it comes to tourism more than Nakuru. But we still believe that much more needs to be done. The infrastructure has come a long way, but we will be looking forward, as we get into a city status, to add more, including in the sporting facility, because we would want to attract through sports tourism. We would want to have more tourists here. Then we're also thinking of conferencing, so we'll be looking forward to getting big conferencing facilities, 2,000, 3,000, and so on and so forth. Then through this, we'll be able to create employment for our people, and together we can move on. Lastly is on health.
All right. Very briefly.
Yes, Nakuru serves the residents of Nakuru plus about 5-6 other counties around us. So the issue of health becomes very serious, and it's very unfortunate that maybe for the longest period, very not so complicated things had to be referred to Nairobi. But I'm happy we've been able to streamline our health. Our Provincial General Hospital, together with our hospitals, now have medicine, and things like cancer that previously there was, once you're diagnosed, it was up to you to go to Nairobi for treatment. Now we have a clinic here doing that, together with dialysis and all these other things. And when we are able to reduce the downtime for our residents when they are unwell, so they can go and engage in economic activities, we believe will make this county a great place, and therefore health becomes a key pillar.
Honorable Kinyanjui, thank you so much for making time for us. And you've been gracious enough to host NTV on the road here. We'll pass by next time as we head out to all the other 47 counties. Thank you so much. Asante sana. Taking a short break on NTV Weekend Edition. I'll be right back with a lot more stories from county number 32. You don't want to miss that. Welcome back to the scenic views of Nakuru County number 32. Let me run you through the rest of the day's stories. And technological advancements have come with great changes in the way people interact and socialize in the family and societal setting. Different from the way children engaged in outdoor games in the olden days, now they mostly engage in indoor games, with psychologists warning that gadget addiction is now overtaking substance addiction. Do you know the impact of technological advancements to the family? Well, Daniel Mule interrogated the pros and cons of technology in the family setting and filed this report in part 1 of the series, Digital Parenting.
Nilikuwa naenda nacheza boli, tulikuwa na ile boli tunatengeneza sisi wenyewe. Kilugha yetu tulikuwa tunaita lifundo. Naenda nacheza nayo na vijana miguu mtupu, nacheza kishamaliza narudi nyumbani, unaenda kuoga mtoni, unajua kuogelea, unatembea na suruali chupi, kifua bure.
Conrad Afuya, a parent of one and a resident of Kawangware in Nairobi County, has fond memories of his childhood. Though he is only 28, he feels a lot has changed.
Mtoto wa sahi, mtoto ni mchele tu. Mtoto anaingia, anatoka hapa anaingia kwa simu PS. Mtoto anaenda pale kwa kinyozi PS.
Not everyone holds the same view as Conrad, as we established when we visited the family of Michael Arunga in Nairobi. Arunga is a father of 3 boys, 2 of them teenagers.
We always fight for who is going to win, and me being the oldest, I don't like losing.
I normally use my mom's iPad's phone.
I got them this technology to help them be able to enjoy. It's actually the modern curve in terms of where parents are heading to.
I get time to do my studies, but I'll have to be disciplined with it. Like have an amount of time when I'll spend, like if it's 1 hour or 2 hours on the PlayStation.
The natural curve, as Arunga puts it, has not escaped the attention of savvy business people. More and more of them have put their money into ventures that provide fun spaces for children. The business is booming. This is the Funscape at the Hub Mall in Nairobi. It's a popular joint for parents and children alike, especially during holidays and the weekends.
Kids can spend the entire day here, make sure they get a lot of interaction, a lot of learning activities. When it comes to East Africa, Kenya is number 1 when it comes to this kind of industry. But when you say Africa, I would say South Africa.
Different types of games are available to cater to the different tastes and financial abilities of the clients.
It helps them because, I mean, we're living in a digital age, and most of even what we have in the homes are digital. I mean, it's unlike our days where you take a wire and create something, you know. They are not so interested in those things, but it's just helping them to keep up with the pace of the world and where the world is going.
Some parents feel adopting to technological changes is the real measure for sophistication.
Inasaidia vizuri sana kwa watoto, haswa wale ambao wanaanza kukua. Itakuwa ni mzuri, in fact watachanuka pia.
The addiction of the gadgets today is so bad such that very soon, as a psychologist, we can see it replacing the drug and substance abuse.
Whenever they're playing a certain game, they either improve on a skill or learn a skill. You see, our games are competitive, so they end up playing with each other while playing the game at the same time. So it's a win-win situation for them.
Nowadays, children as young as 2 years old are already technological savvy. It isn't rare to find a toddler operating a mobile phone. Some even watch videos online. Some will identify a song and are not shy to break into a dance to their favorite tune. It has popularly been referred to as the digital generation.
Utapea mtoto simu, mtoto aende kwake, achukue simu, akae kwa kiti, aingie YouTube, zile vitu anaona sasa hatujui, tunadhani anacheza na simu.
Once or twice I've seen them research on the phone, so that's a good part of it, but most of the time ni chatting with friends and things like that. Kujuliana hali.
My kids, they are not allowed to have phones or even playing on the iPad and stuff like this, no.
So I think to some extent is hampering their creativity, as opposed to our days where you take a box and make a car and drive around. Today everything is ready. So much as that's where the world is going, but I think from a creativity viewpoint, they are missing out.
Unakuta ya kwamba mpaka wazazi wenyewe hawajui kama kuna mapiji kama kuna piji katika hizo maruninga. Kwa hivyo hata wenyewe hawezi kuregulate zile games zinaweza chezwa, zile movies zinaweza watchiwa na mambo kama hayo. Kwa sababu tunakuta watoto wengine hata mtu anakuja anasema anasikia kama kwa suicide. Ukimuuliza kwa nini anakuambia ni movie fulani aliwatch kwa TV.
Na hii michezo ni ya watoto peke yake ama pia watu wengine wanahusika?
Hii michezo ni for everyone. Starting from the age of 3 years to 60 years young at heart.
But the advances are also bringing with them a not so social side to the socialization equation. With the availability of the mobile gadgets, it's becoming increasingly common to find families seated together but only physically, as each member gets engrossed on activities on their phones.
But it is up to the parent to have family values in the house. What should be done, what should be done. This phone is for this use. Yeah? So you use it this time for this purpose. If it is weekday, there is no danger in the house, you don't have to use the phone. It is time for books and homework. One thing for sure, technology and the gadgets are here to stay. They are completely here to stay, and they'll even improve.
As the changes keep coming, it is quite likely that the now called digital generation will appear backwards and unsophisticated to the next generation. Daniel Mule, NTV.
Interesting revelations there by Daniel Mule. I'm sure you remember the days of Ajwala and Dufumpara Road. Those were the days. PS was for the rich. Speaking of things that wasn't happening back in those days, last term witnessed a spate of arson in schools countrywide. More than 150 students were charged with arson, prompting parents to come up with more ways of taming the indiscipline blamed for the unrest and keep their children busy, especially during the holidays as well. Gabriel Kudaka attended a mentorship program in Eldoret aimed at helping students overcome phone addiction, among other challenges relating to the indiscipline.
Such scenes characterized the situation in various schools across the country during the last term. And as students return for the third term, parents and other stakeholders have also been rethinking their strategies of how to deal with the indiscipline that had been blamed for the wave of unrest in schools. Phone addiction is one of the challenges that parents have to grapple with. Most children find these gadgets an essential component of their lives.
Phone addiction is the great challenge because some people may be really addicted to the phones, and to some extent they carry them to school because they can't survive without the phones.
Usikupalie kabisa mtoto simu kabla hajahitimu miaka ya kutumia simu. Ndio kitu imeleta madhara mingi sana kwa watoto wadogo.
Wanachukua muda wao mwingi badala ya kufanya mazoezi ya masomo yao. Watoto wanatumia hii simu kuangalia vitu ambayo haifai hata na miaka yao.
Due to such concerns, stakeholders have come up with ways of reversing this worrying trend.
Because you see, you are the future leaders of this country.
At Malaba Sub-County Education Office in Busia County, a group of students drawn from different schools undergo a mentorship program on how to manage themselves both at home and in school.
They were looking at different forms of sexuality, drug abuse, and then we have new forms of addiction, that is internet, use of phones, music, movies.
Experts in various fields shared their life experiences with these young ones.
So we've discussed the issues of assault and just trying to tell them to avoid such. And we've also sensitized them on the sentences which are involved.
And after the week-long session, the students promised to share what they had learned with their colleagues when they returned to school.
My advice to my fellow students is that they should limit on using the phones, and if it's a must, they must use it minimally.
Ni muhimu kujijua na kujitambua na hata pia kuweza kuelimisha watu katika jamii.
Some stakeholders are, however, proposing a different strategy of instilling discipline in students.
So I would request that we have an institution that has drill, that has a lot of good values, like the National Youth Service, so that maybe in a minimum of 3 months, our children after started 8 join NYS.
Hello, sawa nitakupigia baadaye. Asante. For most Kenyans, phones have become part and parcel of their lives to an extent that some cannot do without them. But depending on their use, they can either be destructive or constructive. Gabriel Kudaka, NTV.
So away from the education sector, the United Nations describes Kenya as a water-scarce country due to its low water replenishment rates. Scarcity of resources such as water has also led to violent conflict in parts of the Rift Valley. The Rift Valley Water Services Board aims to ensure 80% of the 7 counties it covers receives clean water as one way of promoting peace. NTV's Bridget Ngana spoke to the Water Board CEO who outlined the plans.
Chamususu Dam in Baringo County is a Vision 2030 flagship project that was funded by the national government under the Rift Valley Water Services Board. It was built to supply water to more than 300,000 people in Baringo and Nakuru counties.
Nakuru also has its own challenges of water. This is one of the fastest growing city, that is Nakuru. And we have a lot of spillover of developments from Nairobi and the surrounding region. As you know, this is also an epicenter of the farming community, so there is a lot of going on.
Turkana, West Pokot, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nakuru, Nyandarua and Narok counties cover more than 100,000 square kilometers. The Rift Valley Water Services Board ensures the 7 counties are supplied with the precious commodity. Most of the counties are categorized as arid and semi-arid.
That is Turkana County, West Pokot and Narok. So we have projects worth almost $1 billion, which we are at various stages of implementation. This is another fund that is helping towards easing the burden of access to water within our region. And we encourage these counties to take advantage of this fund that has been specifically provided for by the Constitution.
Prevalence of drought in the region has seen a spike in resource-based conflict, something which this board is working on solving.
That one of the trigger of the insecurity that we have is on water issues. But when they have water within the reach, they remain wherever they are. So it is part of the areas we are looking at to ensure that access to water is nearer to where the communities have settled, to reduce conflicts that are related to search for water and pasture.
With this in mind, the board is currently building one of the biggest dams this side of the Rift Valley, the Itari Dam in Nakuru County.
It's a 30 billion project, and as a board, we've taken the challenge, and we are very happy with the progress so far and the support that we are receiving from both the government, the ministry, treasury, and even the leadership, because that is a massive project that you need all the support. This is a water supply project, so we are going to treat 100,000 meter cubed per day, and that water will be supplied to Nakuru town.
Tumetenga milioni 100 katika hii ward ya hii mbili iko hapa karibu na hii project ya Itare. Sasa mukisema ni hospitali, mukisema ni institute, mukisema ni shule, mukisema ni nini, sasa hiyo pesa tumetenga kwa sababu yenu.
Water plays a pivotal role in manufacturing, affordable housing, healthcare and food security. And the Rift Valley Water Services Board aims to ensure that the 7 counties are sufficiently supplied with water.
We want to position ourselves in water provision so that we support the big 4 and also manufacturing. industries. Actually, water is very key. If you don't have the water, none of the big four would succeed, because it is a catalyst to each of them.
In a bid to ease coordination in the implementation of water projects between the national and county governments, the board is planning to conduct a water needs assessment in the remaining 6 counties.
One of the challenges that we are having in the water sector is coordination. We have currently the counties implementing some projects. We are also implementing some projects. But really, are we, addressing the needs, or we're just doing some of these projects and duplicating?
The Rift Valley Water Services Board aims at achieving 80% water access in most of the areas within its jurisdiction by the year 2022. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru County.
And that does it from us in the county number 32. That is Nakuru, from the scenic views of the Alps Hotel. Special thanks to them for accommodating us for the night. The NTV on the road crew still continues to remain in Nakuru. We might be coming to your county next, but for now we're taking a short break. Gladys Gachanja will be back with a lot more in county number 47.
Thank you for staying with us. Now, the Embu County's plans to supplement the national government's project of provision of sanitary towels and underwear to primary school girls has run into strong political headwinds. The county has allocated 3 million shillings towards this, but it has been dismissed as a waste of public funds. NTV's Brenda Wanga visited the county and spoke to girls who are the recipients of the sanitary items and reports on the taboo subject in the county.
This is Shauri village on the fringes of Embu town. The structures here are home to families, most of them barely eking out a living, doing manual labor to put food on the table in these barely standing structures. Each month, the families pay between 300 to 500 shillings as rent, money that is hard to come by here. This is home to a girl we shall call Mary. In just under 2 months, she will be sitting her KCPE examination. Like other candidates, she takes every opportunity to study for that examination that will determine her future. Even now, books are still her companion. She works extra hard. She has to make up for the 12 days she missed school last term, not due to illness or a family misfortune, but rather because of the natural physiological process of menstruation.
Kama sizienda shule, kama niko na period, sina sanitary towels, sasa inabidi nilale home. So time yenyewe nakosa shule, naona masomo inanipita sana. Sasa hata nasikia vibaya.
She isn't alone. Another girl, a neighbor and a classmate also suffers the same fate.
Sababu hizo mapads zinakosekana, unapata mtu akifikiwa unakata tu vitu zozote, hata magondoro unaweza kata tu ili uzuie.
In a county where a majority of the residents live below the poverty line, when it comes to a choice between putting food on the table and buying sanitary hygiene products for the girl child, it is clear which one is given top priority.
Sasa mimi ni mzazi, niko na matumizi mingi, niko na watoto wanataka kukula, kukunywa, nikitafuta pesa saa nyingine napata ya kununua vitabu, chakula, na kosa ya kununua hizo vitu. Sasa ndio inapindi atafuta njia nyingine.
The predicament these two girls faced is replicated in many parts of not just this county, but the country as well. A study conducted in 2016 indicated that 7 out of 10 girls and women in Kenya are unable to afford sanitary towels. But in this county, the situation gets so dire that aside from the sanitary towels, the girls are unable to afford underwear with which to wear these pads. A situation that saw the Culture and Gender Department here in Embu County set aside 3 million shillings in its budget to cater for this need. The budgetary allocation, however, was not well received. The first rollout of this project was also the subject of ridicule from within and outside of the county.
We managed to push through despite the challenges and the negative publicity that has been given out there, which we think that it was not informed by what is on the grassroots, but it was informed by politics.
But for girls like Mary and June, the need for these items is real.
Unajua ukikosa utafanya, saa zingine upate mzazi hana pesa, na unasikia aibu ya kuomba pesa, unaona ukaivo.
The county gender officer says the 3 million shillings allocation is just a drop in the ocean.
The need is high because we realized the ones that were being given by the national government, they were inadequate.
Indeed, alive to this need, the national government allocated 470 million shillings for the provision of free sanitary towels in the 2017-2018 budget in compliance with the Basic Education Amendment Act of 2017. This program, although already rolled out, is not reaching all the girls in need. In this county, for instance, each girl gets 3 packets of 8 pads each term.
Now they tell us the challenges that they get. Now when they go home, when we give them each a packet, the parent, mother now, can think of using it. If there is a sister who has started, can use it. You see now, if it is one, it cannot be enough. And there is no way we can tell the girl to stay at his school to use these pants. You see, one cannot be enough. So it is used by the whole family.
Some of the programs that can assist the women folk and the children is taking care of that sanitation bit of the girl child because they are adversely affected. It's not like the male child.
The county government of Embu says the situation in the county has forced them to start their own sanitary and panties provision project for the girls here. They hope that subsequent budgetary allocations will cater for this very important need, but one that is also considered taboo, at least in these parts of the country. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
It is sad such an important thing has been politicized. It is a right, something that should be replicated across the country. Well, as I earlier said when we were starting off NTV Weekend Edition, is that we're also coming to you live from the KICC, where our sports editor Warothe Kiru is standing by for that bout between Fatma Zarika and of course 20-year-old Mexico's Mercado, which is coming up very, very soon. As you can see the pictures, people are all, ready for this match. And of course, a lot of curtain raisers have been going on since early afternoon. The bout coming to you live right here on NTV from 10:30. So make sure you stay tuned even as we rally behind our very own Fatma Zarika. Time for a short break right here on NTV Weekend Edition. We'll be back with the sports news.
right, let's now play, but first we start from the KICC where Warothe Kiru is at the fight night where Zarika is taking on Mexican Yamileth. Warothe, what's up? Any updates from KICC?
Ningependa kudance sana, lakini Makileta anasema nisi dance.
Alright, Warothe, if you can hear me, I can see you dancing your way, enjoying. But any update from the KICC? Zarika's bout? He can't hear me, but moving on, we'll come to him later as we go on with other sporting news. We start from the Kasarani Stadium where despite 10-man Harambee Stars beating Ghana's Black Stars 1-0 in an AFCON 2019 qualifier, head coach Sebastian Minye was not a happy man as he blasted the stadium management for not availing the Kasarani Stadium for Kenya while visiting Cameroon got the venue to train in. The Frenchman also threw a jab at the players who did not honor his call-up. This is Black Stars coach Kwesi Appiah at Humble Pie paying tribute to Harambee Stars players.
There is Olunga now. The whole of the Ghanaian team said they're only afraid of Olunga, but not of Harambee Stars. This is chipped again to Olunga. They put it in their own net. And they weren't in a hurry this time round. It's Eric Joanna out on the right side. Looks for Olunga, who forces the defender to push the ball into his own net. But it was a pinpoint cross coming in for Michael Olunga. Yes, he's got the right to take credit for it there, Jacob.
All right, we'll come to the real story, but also related to AFCON, Nigeria's Super Eagles restored their Africa Cup of Nations qualifying hopes after a 3-0 away win. In the Battle of the Stars, Kenya's Harambee Stars shone brighter than the Black Stars of Ghana, handing coach Sebastian Minye his first victory in a competitive match. Kenya had the first sight of a goal 4 minutes into the match when Ovela Ochieng broke free from the right and put through a shot to Ghanaian goalkeeper Richard Ofori.
Good chance earlier on. The initial shot by Ovela Ochieng wasn't hard enough.
Michael Olunga, Ovela Ochieng and Eric Johanna had their first half chances saved, despite Ghana dominating a better part of the match.
Here they got the advantage, didn't they?
With just 4 minutes to the halftime whistle, an own goal by Nicholas Opuku put Kenya ahead, giving hope to the team as favourites in Group F, holding on to the vital 3 points.
Harambee Stars lead the game of the cup.
Victory for Kenya, only the second against the 4-time African champions after 15 years, takes them level on points with Ghana after 2 rounds of qualifiers, with both sides on 3 points.
Coming in for Michael Olunga.
To dominate the whole game, I mean, your opponent to play only 10% of the game. But you see, in football, chances may come, and if the day is not your day, you may lose all the chances. I believe that on the given day, most of the chances they could have utilized, but that's football for you.
I believe the boys were motivated, and everyone wanted to prove that we can still do it, and we can still take Kenya football to places. Now it's just focusing on the next game against Ethiopia. It's not also going to be easy. They play so good, they also be motivated. They're going to be playing at home.
Tunafaa kulearn kutokana mistakes zile tumefanya kwa mechi zimepita. Kama ya leo tumekuwa na mistake kidogo, but unajua the more mna progress itakuwa poa. So coming to the next matches, I think tutakuwa tumerectify makosa zile tumefanya.
Stars coach Sebastian Minye, pleased by the team's performance, could not hide his fury on players who snapped his call-up.
My boys gave something incredible. I'm very happy of that, but I'm not very happy at all, in fact. And I think I will be very short tonight because during the week, it was a missing of respect with this team. When I saw Cameroon have a training in this field, and not us, we were in military school, it's not possible to work like that if you want to achieve a high level. We are so far from the high level. We are on the way, but so far.
The coach also took issue with the case of Cameroon team being allowed to use Kasarani Stadium, with the team having to make use of the KSMS grounds.
The win a vital one and a morale booster to the fans, even as they seek to pour more support to the national football team.
Kuchapa Ghana ni kumaanisha kwamba Kenya is a very powerful nation in Africa. It
was an awesome game. That is what I have to say, and I'm really happy about our Harambee. All the best and continue, keep our flag high.
And what they should avoid is just to being defeated at home. We should win all matches at home.
We came very early to support them and we wish them all the best. Let's wait and see the next match, how it's going to be. But we know they are going to win. Yay! Harambee Stars!
Kenya have back-to-back games against Ethiopia next month, while Ghana will be at home against Sierra Leone, who visit Ethiopia on Sunday afternoon in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Stars will now shift their attention to Tuesday's friendly against Malawi. And Carl Flash Tundo increased his lead in the Kenya National Rally Championship after winning the Nanyuki Rally on Saturday. Tundo, navigated by Team Jessup in a Mitsubishi Evo 10, finished ahead of Manvi Barian and Baldev Chaga. It was his first win in Nanyuki since 2012. Sean Kadavilis reports from Batian View.
And they really are being dominant.
Congratulations, Carl Flash Tundo and Tim Jessup. Their first win here since 2012. They are the winners of the 2018 Nanyuki Rally, the 7th round of the Kenya National Rally Championship, finishing over 5 minutes ahead of Manvir Barian, with Baldev Chaga in third.
And they really are being...
We needed to make a few points back on Baldy from the Coast Rally, so we've done what we set out to do, and then now 2 left.
In the end, they really are being dominant.
It's tricky out there. Lodaigas is fast, it's narrow, so you've got to be precise, and you've got to be you got to have the timing right on your notes.
It was very well organised, and the Kenya National Rally Championship has 2 events. The next one is next month in Eldoret. Sean Carter-Villas, NTV at Batian View for the 2018 Nanyuki Rally.
And in Kisumu, National 7 Circuit Series leaders Menengai Cream Homeboys will face Kabra Sugar in the second quarterfinal of the Dallas Sevens early Sunday morning at the Mambo Leo Showground in Kisumu. This clash of corporate siblings will be preceded by Angong Road Derby pitting Sportpesa Queens and Impala. Sandbek Mwamba will face Top Fry Nakuru in a repeat of the Driftwood Sevens, which Wanyore won. KCB will then conclude the quarterfinal matches when they face Nondis. Dala is the second leg of the 6-leg series. Homeboys won the first 3 legs, in a row before stumbling in Mombasa to finish 4th as Nakuru emerged tops. All right, the bout coming from the KICC, that is the night fight. Zarika taking on Yamileth for the WBC title. Zarika seeking to defend her title. That match will be live on NTV a few minutes from now. For now, we end our sports. Have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otual.
Well, that's all the news we had for you on NTV Weekend Edition. Thank you for your company, and a special thank you to Flora Atino, who was our sign language interpreter tonight. Remember, 10:30 p.m. we cross over to the KICC, where we shall be watching Zarika versus Makado as they take on that WBC bout right after this. So stay tuned. My name is Gladys Gachanja.